Related. So come get some. CrimCon. CrimCon.
Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline. It is not Wednesday Wham, as it says on that right there. I have to fix that. Sorry. Welcome to Silverline's Silver Sunday on this Sunday, November the 12th. I am your host, Roland Mann. I am joined by the top troublemaker, Mr. Tom Mason.
Greetings, everyone.
And we are also joined by the all-around con artist, Mr. Thomas Flormonti Jr.
Howdy do.
Who I got to find out where he rode bikes this weekend. And for the second time, I'm excited to see, joined by Mr. Mike W. Belcher.
I made it. Yay.
Yay.
Are you fighting all the snow up there in Kentucky, Mike?
What snow?
Well, you're not getting snow yet?
Oh, heck no. No. You know, our Novembers are a hodgepodge of 60s and 30s. And right now it's in the 60s.
Well, I mean, you live in the mountains. It's always snowing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's I love that misconception. So, yeah. Along with our bare feet.
Oh.
Yeah. It's 64 degrees here tonight or today right now. So that's cold in Florida.
A little chilly. Yeah, a little chilly.
Yeah, that's almost coat weather.
Oh, that's flannel weather here. That's great. I love that.
So,
Got our heaters on now.
I don't think. See, news real quick. The only news I can think of I have is that the surveys went out for the Kickstarter, so you guys get those filled out. We have not gotten the money from Kickstarter yet, so as soon as we do, you know that we will place that order with Kablam, and then just do. But we're on target to get everything out to you in December as planned. You should be able to put these fun books under your Christmas tree as Christmas presents if you desire that. And that's,
Yeah, I don't think I've seen you put an order in yet.
not yet. No, I know. I'm a little behind because of my injury.
A little under the weather.
Yeah. So I've been hobbling around. I was tempted to stand up and show you guys the injury because it's the back of my leg is all black and blue. But I'm not sure how I can get it. I'm not sure how I can do that and not make it a not PG-13 shot.
There's nothing sticking out.
We don't want to see that.
No,
Put it
there's
on
no
your
bone
OnlyFans.
sticking out. No. No. The short version is I tore my hamstring, and I will tell you guys this is my PG-13 version. I can pretty much I can walk. Okay. Can't obviously I'm not running, but it hurts me more when I sit on the toilet because
Explain that.
so your leg, right where your leg bends,
Draw a
right
picture.
there, right? Your leg bends right there. That's where my hamstring hurts the most. And so when you sit down, I mean, it hurts when I sit in a chair. It's so because it hurts
So did
right
you
there.
did you
bend.
tear it, or did you just sprain it where it's just pulled? What's the difference? If I figured if you tore it, you're not walking around on it, so you must have just sprained it real bad.
So the emergency room doctor said that I tore it. I mentioned that I followed up with a
because that's the thing that holds your leg to your butt and all that.
Well,
kind of
so this is the way it was. So this is the way it was described to me, though. It's imagine all these fibers, right? There are millions of fibers, and he said I tore thousands of them. So I didn't tear all of them.
You
so
know, you only have
my
about
legs not just
you only have
dangling.
about 3.
Yeah, it's basically like the back of an old TV. It's
Wait, who you calling old?
Oh,
do you find now that your other senses are heightened?
Yeah. My rolling sense started tingling a little bit.
Wait a minute. We talked about old. So you didn't tell everybody how you did it.
I playing softball. I was running to first base, and my mind said,
with a bunch of young kids that are spry.
I am on an appropriate softball team. So my mind said, run faster. My body said, yeah, no, that ain't happening.
So okay. Your body kept going forward and your butt stayed back there and it went whoop.
Okay, so enough of that.
Okay.
We are going to talk to Mr. Martin Pierro of Cosmic Times. Let me bring him on here. Hello, Mr.
Uh-oh. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on.
There we go.
Somebody's in a cave.
It sounded like it for a second. All right.
The question is, can you hear us?
I can. For a second, I couldn't, but I can now. So
excellent. So Martin, we are here to pepper you with all kind of questions about Cosmic Times and about your Kickstarter, which, by the way, I'm going to bring up right this minute. It'd help if I share something, wouldn't it? Share screen right here. So sharing this tab. Oh, there we go. There we go. So
there it is.
This is your Kickstarter, and it looks like you have got 2 hours remaining, Martin.
Yep.
So, and you are
quite a bit short. I'm $343 short.
Oh, in 2 hours. That's doable. That's doable.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we need to hype it up.
Yep, we're gonna hype it up while we're here. See if we can't help get Martin to his goal here. We're gonna talk about Kickstarter some. Martin says
I would love to talk about Kickstarter.
Yeah, you said you got some ideas, but first let's talk a little bit about Cosmic Times. I'll ask the first question here.
Okay.
So tell me, Martin, why did you start? Why and when did you start Cosmic Times?
Okay, real quick. I'll try to go as quick as I can. I've always loved comics. I've, as a kid, Micronauts, Transformers, all that stuff. When I was 14 years old, I hooked up with a local comic shop and a few others, and I started my own fanzine called Cosmic Times. And it was just a comic news thing at the, this is pre-internet days. So I would get little scoops from the friends or the people I knew who owned stores, and I'd publish it in this fanzine. It ran for not long, maybe a year. I mean, I was 14, I discovered girls, and that kind of put a kibosh on the whole comic thing.
So it did for many of us.
Yeah. I mean, I've always kind of stayed in with comics, but my collecting scrolled back quite a bit after that. Fast forward a bunch of years, I'm working at a law firm doing IT. Not the most creative job in the universe. Great firm, great people, but not very a creative outlet. I was at MegaCon. I ran into somebody who was pitching, "Hey, why don't you write a story for us and we'll publish it?" One of those deals. Like, all right, well, how much do I get paid? We don't pay you for this. And
You pay us.
then I was like, I think I can do this myself without this guy. So a few years of working on.
Let me stop you here. Wait. Who, if I can ask, who in the world was sitting at MegaCon stopping random people?
Well, it wasn't so random. I mean, I was interested in it. I stopped by and asked, "Hey, what is this?" "Oh, this is an anthology we're putting together. We'd sure love the." I mean, he didn't know.
Anthology. Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, it was the guy's still making comics for a mid-sized company, so I don't want to say anything bad about it.
Okay, no. We don't like to do negative here, but
yeah.
it struck me as a little odd that someone would just ask a random guy to submit a story.
He was kind of just trying to hook people in.
I mean, like a little banner on their table saying, "Look, I need some free writing."
I think that's what come right for us is I think what the thing was.
Yeah. Sure it wasn't Tom and his guys back
we paid money.
No, you did. You
That's
did.
right.
You actually did.
This was a free gig, trust me. But so I decided maybe I could do that myself. The next year I came back, sat on a panel. Sat on several panels, one with Jeff Kaufman, one with Raven Gregory and Christian Baranek, and they were kind of telling the joys of small press publishing. So I went forward with it, started Cosmic Times in 2008, launched the company in 2009, thanks to Kablam printing my first book.
You got a backer. Woohoo!
Awesome.
Whoever backed it, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, back in the day, Kablam would do.
Off of that.
Sorry?
You owe 5%.
Oh, 5%. Whatever, man. I'll give it to you. Trust me. But anyways, so Kablam was actually delivering the books to MegaCon. And I got worried because I didn't actually see them until the day of the show. But everything came out just fine. I sold out of everything at that first MegaCon, and I was positive this was my life. I mean, I had 100 copies. But again, back then, you could sell 100 copies at MegaCon because they had a small press section.
Right.
Which is long gone now. I mean, I don't know any shows that still have small press sections. Sorry, what was that?
Not like it was. You're correct.
No. So it snowballed from there. I realized I couldn't do it just with the one title. I needed more books. I needed to grow quickly. So I brought Zach Bassett on board, who I met at the FX show. I'm sure Tom remembers FX in Orlando. It was the counter to MegaCon. I met Zach there. He had been sucked in by another unscrupulous publisher who convinced him to move to Florida from Colorado. They were going to start this studio. And again, probably somebody most people in this chat know. He lied and misled Zach, and Zach was, I just need work. I was like, I can give you work. And so we started compounding titles after that. Got picked up by Diamond in 2014, and the rest is history. I quit my job in 2016, and started doing this full time. And I've only looked back and regretted it about 1 million times. So yeah, and half of those were this year. So yeah. So that's my story. That's the origin story right there in a nutshell. As quick as I can do it.
That's a good origin. You guys got questions?
I do.
Okay, fire away, Tom. Oh, by the way, Martin, be aware we have a Tommy and a Tom.
Okay.
So when you said Tom, I'm pretty sure you meant Flormonte.
Right, Tommy. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, or I guess you could call him Thomas.
Thomas.
That's what the sign says, Thomas. So I'll go Thomas.
That's his promo.
Or you could. I just tend to call him Hey You.
You. Yeah, I know. Me.
All right, Tom. What's the question?
Yes, sir.
So you said you regretted it a lot in the past year. So what has changed? I know that's for comic effect, but I mean, what's changed, say, this year relative to previous years?
This second half of this year has just been hard financially. With the way the we have our household is set up in a certain way that I contribute this, my wife contributes that. My ability to contribute because of sales declining has been less, and the price of everything has gone up. So there's been lots of internal family issues dealing with just the cost of things right now. And I honestly feel I don't know what's going on. My sales in the second half of this year have just slipped. Kickstarter slipping. Just ways to find revenue is becoming harder. And so that's, I mean, as far as regretting it, I don't regret it. I've loved every minute of this. I love comics. Comics are my life. They're in my blood. My office is usually neater than this, but comics, I got comics everywhere. I got some Malibu comics. I don't know what these are doing.
Oh, look at that.
Good stuff there.
What went on there? You have a quarter bin in your office?
Well, quarter bin. Now, these are high quality books here. No, I'm trying to get the largest Roland Mann collection of comics. Everywhere I go, whenever I see Malibu, I flip to the editor. If I see Roland, I buy it, and then I make him sign it whenever I see him. So,
I think I have been to shows where I've signed more books for Martin. He and I are at the same show. I've signed more books for Martin than I did for anybody else.
But I'm a fan, so what do you want? You know?
So where do you may not want to give these secrets away, but where do you think you'll find money in the future?
I honestly believe I did a summit about 3 years ago, and we had a long discussion about what the future of comics are. And I honestly believe the future of comics is a subscription model. I think Patreon and Substack and things like that are kind of forming where things are going to go. Obviously, other platforms will exist, but I think the source of revenue is going to come from finding a core fan base of 100, hopefully 1,000, maybe 2,000 people who are willing to give you X number of dollars a month to get your content. I don't see the business surviving any other way. I work with several retailers, one main, but I know several retailers, and I know that they're without giving away too many secrets, their totals this year are garbage. The second half of this year have just been. I'm sure you talk to Phil on a regular basis, and everybody read his op-ed the other day. The retail model is really crumbling right now, but I think that's across the board for any independent retailer in this economy. Hopefully, things will right themselves and will rebound. But I honestly think that the key is finding your core audience and cultivating them. That's my opinion. I haven't been able to do it, but that's what I kind of think we're headed toward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was that a downer? Yay, comics.
I became a heroin addict while you were speaking.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
I don't know if you just, Eric Larson just made a post. I posted into our team chat about comics in general. And to sum up, basically, he was like, the comic industry as an industry is pretty healthy because you look at things like, what was it?
Frogman, Raina Telgemeier.
Yes, right.
Amulet.
Yes. And these are, and those are doing well, but we don't, this is my take on that. We don't think of that as comics, right? Because they're not really kind of we don't see them going through our channels, right? The ones that we own, the comic shops, those go through the different market. So, and he mentioned independent comic books as well, Kickstarter crowdfunders and things like that. But he specifically mentioned that Marvel and DC are not doing well, and he listed some reasons for that, to which I agree with those. I think, and this is, I don't want this to become a bash Marvel. It could probably easily become a bash Marvel and DC an hour, but that's not what I want this to. This needs to be about, you know, Cosmic Times and Kickstarter and getting you to your funding goal. But I know you said you had some thoughts about Kickstarter, so it was a good question, Tom. Anybody else have questions?
I'm not really a heroin addict, by the way.
So Martin, you said you did have some thoughts on Kickstarter. I mean, while we've got, you know, sharing yours, do you want to start that conversation? What are some of your thoughts?
I should just say, yay, Kickstarter, support my book. Yeah. But I have some thoughts on what's been going on with Kickstarter. I've been, you know, while I'm running my campaign, I'm tracking, you know, 20, 30 other campaigns to see how everybody's doing and measuring up.
Right.
I think the concept of general comics, like you and I do, or you know, other people like in our same situation do, are getting edged out on Kickstarter a little bit. It seems that the audience is changing. I don't know what that necessarily means or how I see that, but
movie books do really good.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to find a way to say that without being so blunt, but it seems that there's a certain level of consumer that's on Kickstarter right now that's looking for something that I'm not willing to provide. And it's almost like the back of the, just to use an 80s term, you know, back in the old days, the mom and pop video stores had the curtain in the back and they kept that stuff in the back.
Right.
It's almost like they put the Disney stuff back there and moved all the adult stuff to the front of the store now. And it's very difficult for me to try to, because I believe in one of my missions in life with comics is to try to find new readers that aren't reading comics and try to pull them in. It's hard to do that and say, come on to Kickstarter and back my book, and they start scrolling. And it's like, where's your book in this sea of porn here? That and I don't know that there's any other platform that's doing anything different. I mean, you go to Indiegogo, it's there. You go to Fund My Comic, surprisingly, it's there. It's almost like they need to have Kickstarter should have some kind of age lineup. So if you're looking for something that appeals to everybody, you can back that, or you can go behind the curtain and get your nudie books. Because I'm seeing guys like there's a guy I respect, Rob Multari, who has started doing not safe for work variant covers. And I asked him about that when I was in Cleveland, and he's like, "I go where the money is, man. I got to make the money." Is this art? I mean, no, it's art that is a commerce. So where do you draw the line? I don't want to sell out. And I think I did a Substack post on this years ago. John from Creature Entertainment, John Uola, who used to be Double Impact Comics, everybody knows that, or High Impact Comics. He tried to convince me to put hot chicks in this is before the nudity craze had taken off. Hot chicks in costumes on my cover of my comics. And I told him I don't want to do that. But he says, everybody likes cheeseburgers. This is just putting a little bit of bacon on your cheeseburger so you can sell the cheeseburger. You know, they'll buy the cheeseburger with bacon. And I was like, I don't want that to be my identity in this business. And I said this too. I remember it clear as a day. I said, this is where I stand, and I will die where I stand if I have to. And sometimes, especially nowadays, it feels like, is that time come for me to die where I stand? Well, again, more heroin, please. But
I do notice that in your current project, you have a dinosaur all wrapped up in leather, which is
that's for the special tier backer. Yes, that's the Gimpasaur.
What about something like Zoop, the new one?
I've not looked at Zoop. I've only recently discovered Zoop when I was at Heroes Con. And I was like, I was thinking it was like Zoom, like the old PBS show, and he was pitching it to me.
I noticed, and I know these are, you know, no offense, but these are bigger names. I noticed Howard Chaykin is using Zoop for his new thing, and Jeff Johnson and James Robinson just used Zoop for their thing that just funded today. And
now, is the Zoop? Yes, I'm not sure. Do you have to get approved to be in Zoop? It isn't like
you do. I looked into Zoop about a year ago and reached out to them, and they were non-responsive to me. and so I get the impression that they're looking for more marquee names.
They're curating.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying they're not trying to promote the book, they're trying to promote them. Right?
Yeah. So and you know,
by
that's
picking
fine.
certain books,
That's fine. It is what it is. I thought it was interesting. You mentioned Fund My Comic. Now I haven't looked at them probably in a couple of weeks, but I noticed a few weeks back when ours was live that Fund My Comic seemed to be doing overall better numbers in the sense of backer numbers than Kickstarter.
Now I've looked at Fund My Comic. The only thing with that I worry about is, and I know I've seen good results on it, but there's a certain environment in Kickstarter where you can pull in backers.
Right.
You know, where I don't see that in Fund My Comic. And nothing against Luke. I'm glad he's able to make it work. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the results maybe you've seen when I look at it. Because I've seen some campaigns stay at 0. I saw one go negative at one point. I was like, how's this even possible?
How do you go negative?
I didn't understand that either.
I agree to pay you money if you support my.
That's right.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was like. I was like, I don't think I want to be part of that. But again, sorry, I'm just keeping track of my Kickstarter here. I'm willing to go elsewhere, but I mean, this is still the biggest platform when it comes to crowdfunding. And,
right.
You know, if you want to try to be in the biggest stadium you can be in, and try to get the most eyes on your product. But I don't know. I'm shocked because my backer count from this is technically the second issue of the book. It's issue 1 and 2. My backer count is considerably lower than it was last time. Not to mention, obviously, my funding goal.
I've noticed a rough trip for ours. I mean, obviously, you know, I think the first issue thing is real even in crowdfunders. I think people are interested in that first issue, and then not as many come back for your second issue. I see that. And I think that maybe for us, for Silverline, I think that's one of the things that I see a little bit is that there's a little bit of downtrend in our backer numbers because what we're doing now, for the most part, are 2s and 3s and 4s, right? We're wrapping things up that we were kickstarting, you know, that we started last year, the year before. Have you ever considered, anybody else have a question?
I do, but somebody else can monopolize.
Okay, let me ask. So have you ever considered, Martin? Because one of the things that I am actually considering, haven't made up my mind because it just sounds like twice the work, is running it dual campaigns, running one on the same campaign on 2 platforms. Have you considered that?
I've never thought of that, but it seems like you have your core
campaigns or the same campaign?
The same exact same case. So we do the same exact let's just use Indiegogo and Kickstarter, for example. Do the same campaign on Kickstarter as you do on Indiegogo, and rather than call it a Kickstarter exclusive book, we could just call it a crowdfund exclusive book, right? And you could do on. Hold on, you could do. Yeah,
you could do a Kickstarter version and an Indiegogo version to try to get your supporters to pledge to both.
Could do that, yeah,
right,
yeah.
But
that would certainly get your completist to. But I think my fear of doing something like that would be okay. So these people who've supported me on Kickstarter, you know, for all these campaigns, suddenly, and we always offer a completist, and we have several that go for our completists because they want all the versions of the covers, right? Well, if suddenly I'm offering a different cover on a different platform, how's that going to make these people feel?
Them feel?
You know,
go ahead,
Tom.
I don't know. It seems like my whole thing is perception. I never want to seem like I'm trying to double dip or pick the pocket of my audience, and I worry that might give that impression that you're trying to. I'm just trying to get all the money. I want all the money.
So I talked.
But we do.
I talked to 2 or 3 of the big deal crowdfunding creators at San Diego this past year, and they all run campaigns on multiple platforms
simultaneously.
And what they do is they launch one on one platform, and then a week later they launch the second one. So they're running concurrently, but they don't start and stop.
They're kind of staggered.
Staggered thing. So that way they can spend time setting one up and getting it rolling before they dive into the extra work of doing the second one.
Yeah,
it's a pain.
They said it, and I asked the same questions that you do about double dipping and about, you know, pissing off the people who follow me on Kickstarter, you know, who are on this other platform. And they all said separately, because I wasn't in the room with all of them at one time. It was separate conversations. They all said that it's two different groups of people.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, that's what you wonder. Are you just going to split yours in half, or is it a whole different?
I tend to believe it's different groups.
Yeah. It's very tribal. There's a group on GoFundMe that hates Kickstarter. There's a Kickstarter group that hates Indiegogo. There's everybody who hates. They're different. You know, it's like football teams. It's
but Tom, not Tommy, Tom, that opens up a whole other discussion where it comes. There's when you speak of tribalism, there's so much of that now on the internet. I'm with this group, I'm with that group, I only support this group. If you're with that group, I don't support you. And I think that's eroding the industry from the inside out. There just need to get back to just let's make entertaining comics.
But I think if you're I'm looking at the picture that's up here of the which I think is terrific, by the way. I do too. That sells everything to me. That tells me everything about the book that I want to know. And
this, by the way, from the man who created Dinosaurs for Hire.
Right.
Okay.
But I think you could. It's that fine line where your book doesn't say tribalism to me. It doesn't.
I try not to.
It doesn't say this is only for the A people or the B people or the C people. Your book is clearly an everybody book.
And I wonder, does that then hurt me? Like, should I be trying to appeal to one of these deep pocket groups? You know, like, should I give? Hey, Ethan, do me a favor, retweet my book. You know?
But I think
hey, Mark Wade, can you help me out, buddy? You know,
I think that's where you have to be true to your content, and that's where you know it's that. Don't change your content to suit whatever the tribe is.
I know,
right?
But that's why I feel, you know, you shouldn't do that. You should. I mean, this is my vision. But if I can't find an audience, am I making a book that nobody wants? You know, that's always the thing to consider.
Yeah. We got a couple. Tom, do you have something else?
I can wait.
We got a couple comments. Let me run through these. So don't forget it, Tom. Pops, what's up, Pops? Pops says there are more that do not fund on Kickstarter. Let's be real. There are books funding. Fund My Comic is the only platform built for the creator, not products in general. And I think maybe what he means is that Kickstarter is, I'm trying to interpret here. Yeah. Kickstarter is for everything. I bought
it's a comic specific Kickstarter kind of.
I mean, tell me your bike stuff, right? Did you tell me you backed some electronic gizmo thing on Kickstarter like a couple years ago, Tommy?
Thomas.
Good take.
No, I did. You know, I treat. I've told you. I treat Kickstarter like it's Amazon. I just go on and buy stuff.
Yeah. So I got this cool. I'm hoping we'll see
electronic stuff lately. Don't tell Renee.
I'm hoping that we'll see eventually. I supported this Kickstarter that's going to be this wall that I'm going to put a bunch of comics in, and but that wasn't a comic. Right. It was a display thing, but it was on Kickstarter. Whereas Fund My Comic is built specifically for comic books. Right. Yeah. Kasisi, what is up, Kasisi? So good to see you here. He says, this is a very interesting discussion. I find that I only engage with a Kickstarter project that I've heard of. So I never really see the sea of provocative stuff. Do you truly think that the audience has changed, or perhaps the way we advertise on social media has changed? Well,
that's a little. I mean, social media as a whole has changed. The algorithm keeps changing. Right. You used to be able to post something and instantly get somebody to back your project. Now it's like throwing darts in the dark, hoping to hit the dartboard at least. You know.
Yeah.
It's a pay to play system now, really, when it comes down to social media.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's gonna change any. Pops has something else here. He says there are people who will not use Kickstarter or Indiegogo. You need to put your product where anyone can get it. And I have to say I have to agree with. I have talked to people who have flat out told me I don't back anything on Kickstarter, or I don't back anything on Indiegogo. Now me, I'll back them if I like the thing, right? I'll get it. But I have had people flat out tell me,
Yeah, I've had people
but
flat out tell me they don't like the platform, so they won't.
There's a huge audience of people that don't.
It's kind of confusing to some folks. Like, but, I remember when we had the first issue of Trump's, and I was trying to get all my family, because it's been up until Trump's, it had been kind of a while since I had anything new come out.
Yeah.
And so I was getting all my family to go on Kickstarter to get Trump's, to back Trump's, because they all wanted to buy copies. And they're like, nah, I'll just get copies from you because I can't figure this Kickstarter thing out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I had about 30 family members that wanted to, so I had to just get books, sell them books.
That's the thing. You'll find that when you get outside of comics and you get outside of this world a little bit, nobody knows what the hell Kickstarter even is, let alone ever use it.
Tell them it's a crowdfunding kind of stuff. I just tell them it's a store, and I don't even try to explain the crowdfunding.
You have to. But here's James, who does the Comics Launch podcast. He always says, "Oh, your first day will be all your friends and family backing your book." Outside of my comics friends, I don't have anybody. I mean, I have like maybe 3 or 4 friends outside of comics to back my book because nobody understands or uses Kickstarter out in the real world.
They're like, what? I'm going to give you money now for something that's not going to come out in 2 months? What? I'm not doing that. Well, they don't get it. It's like, well, it's done. And like, well, why can't I get a copy right now? And it's like,
Well, I've always kind of looked at Kickstarter from a business perspective as just another cog in the machine. My chair is squeaky. Just another cog in the machine of business. It's just part of what we do. Conventions are a part of it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the direct market's a part of it. I've dipped now into the TikTok shop. Yeah. That's a thing. I've sold a book on the TikTok shop now. That's a thing.
Wait, TikTok has a shop?
TikTok has a shop. Most of these
apps.
I
did not know that.
They want you to stay on the app. So instead of when you put a link to go buy my product somewhere else, they bury it. But if you sell it through their app, then you get the boost. So I've started selling comics on the TikTok shop.
Make a note of that.
What's that?
Make a note of that.
It is right here. I have made a note.
Doesn't Amazon have a way that you could
we TikTok
order stuff? Huh?
Through TikTok? Or you can get Amazon link on TikTok if that's what you're talking about.
No. Couldn't you wasn't there a way to do an affiliate thing on Amazon where you could sell books through Amazon where they didn't do the printing? You would fulfill it?
Yeah. Well, don't you have to ship the books to them first?
I think you have to. Yeah, you have to ship
them.
You
have to pay them like a storage.
I watch all these crazy people on YouTube.
Yeah, you have to ship them like a dozen copies for them to hold on into their warehouse or something.
Yeah. You could also sell on Etsy too. Although that's an oddball. That's a platform where people make stuff out of pine cones and sticks and stuff.
Well, see, but that's my problem.
Why you're buying comics at a place where you're.
That's kind of my problem. I started this year with all these ideas of all these new places I was going to sell comics, and I found I spread myself way too thin trying to maintain them all. So hopefully next year I can zero down on just a few avenues because it's hard, man.
Hey,
manage it.
Hey, Roland.
Yes, sir.
You do a ton of conventions.
Yes.
It's like 6 or 8 a year, right? Something like
that. Sometimes more.
Sometimes
most of them Florida Central.
I've done 18 this year, so yeah.
Okay. Do you find that is helpful? That where you to get the word out to move product, or is it?
I do. I find that most of the people that I sell to at conventions have never heard of us. Right. And they tend to sign up for our mailing list. So, oh, you got a mailing list, yeah, And part of our problem though is because it's like, okay, well, you can buy issues 1 and 2. Issue 3, well, it's going to be about 6 months before we get it out, and then you can see automatically in their head, well, I might wait. Let me try the first issue, and I might wait to see because I think there have been too many that have been burned by. Well, I got this issue here, but the story was never complete, right?
Oh, I've got so
Tommy
many
and I have a friend. I won't mention him because I like him a lot. That only does first issues. It's like, why would you do that? It's like he's got like 12 number 1 issues, and I'm like, what the heck?
He's waiting for you to die so he can cash in.
Well, what he's doing, I think, is if these are his Hollywood pitches. These are his proof of concept.
Right.
All right, so Martin, you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this comment here. Somehow, I feel even older knowing that Martin and Roland are on TikTok. This is from Travis Gibb.
Got to
Hey,
stay
Travis,
up with it, Travis. You got to stay up with the times, man.
Good to see
They
you
got
here.
their own twerking videos up there.
Yeah.
So go and watch
No
it.
twerking.
Don't put that picture in my head.
Wait, Tommy, isn't that your handle on TikTok? Tommy doesn't
It
twerk or
is.
something.
No, Tommy don't TikTok is my
Tommy don't
handle.
TikTok, yeah.
So, so actually, we did. Brittany, she was here last weekend for my birthday,
Happy
and
birthday.
we made. Thank you. We made several TikToks, and she's been posting them. You know, several of us all. You know, which parent would do this? You know, which parent would do that? You know, those were kind of fun to make. So, I got a couple other comments. Let me run through them here. Pop says, pre-order my comic here is the simplest way to pitch it when talking about Kickstarter. And I don't disagree with him, although Kickstarter doesn't like that idea. Kickstarter doesn't like you to promote Kickstarter as a store.
As a
right?
store,
Right.
they do.
Yeah.
They do
But that's what we do exactly. Hey, you know, we need you to pre-order this book here.
But the problem with that is, like, because ultimately my business model is that everything that goes through Kickstarter will make its way to the direct market through the Diamond catalog, where pre-order has a whole different meaning there.
Right.
So I try to avoid using pre-order, except when I'm referring to go to your comic shop and pre-order my comic.
Well, except that you already just said, I mean, this would be my argument to you, except that you already just said that there's different people. And I think if you're talking to comic retailers and say, yeah, you have to be careful of that terminology. But when I meet somebody at the convention, when I say pre-order my comic, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm giving you money, and then you're going to ship it to me in a couple of months.
You change your pitch based on who your audience is.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I look at it as a marketing thing, as overall, like say with social media. If I'm saying go to Kickstarter, pre-order my comic, and then 8 months later I'm saying go to your comic store, pre-order pretty much the same comic, then I kind of have conflicting messages that I'm sending my overall audience.
But I don't see how that's because it's the same message. They're pre-ordering no matter what, right?
Well, pre-ordering and ordering is, I think I may have confused myself. So pre-ordering and ordering is two different things, right? Pre-ordering means something that may come at some point.
And you don't give it.
Ordering means I'm going to send it as soon as I get to the house. So if you pre-order, right, you don't necessarily give any money.
At a comic shop, yeah. You go, they take your item code in and they give it to the retailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they do your pull list.
When you order something, you actually pay the money.
Right.
But you're kind of assuming. So that's where people when they get to Kickstarter and they see crowdfunding, pre-order, because it's posted everywhere. All of a sudden, that kind of turns them off. I think a little bit because they don't realize they start going, oh, this might not. Because actually now when you check out, you notice that when you do a thing, it says that this may not come out.
Right.
Yeah. I hate that message. Yeah.
I mean, it actually does say, and don't be mad at Kickstarter if you don't get anything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting 5 years.
You're gonna this Kickstarter funded, and you just paid your $20, and you may not get nothing.
All right, couple more comments here. Let's see. I think I missed one.
Not from Silverline, because Silverline's books are done. We're just waiting.
We're batting 1,000. We've got 100% on time shipping record here. So David Rios says that is something I see when I visit my comic retailer friend. It's when it takes months and months for the later issues to come out, and we're talking about getting the first issues and not getting the later issues. Yeah. Cassisi added. Tonight is a prime example, I think. I see your project, talking about Martin. It comes from a source I trust, so I back it. Thank you for backing it.
Thank you.
Stacey.
Thank you so much.
But I'm not sure I would have caught its existence without this, per se.
Well, that's the thing, because you can't. The problem that I have with the crowdfunding sites, for me as an older person, is that I don't have time to wade through everything.
Right.
I don't go to Kickstarter. I can't be like Tommy and just go to Kickstarter and shop like it's Amazon and go. I wonder what's up since the last time I was here. So I go to Kickstarter when I see something on Facebook or Twitter or something that somebody recommends to me, and then it's like, oh, this guy I know is doing a thing. I'll go
Right.
check it out. And so that's
Yeah.
that's what leads.
Yeah,
me
but
there.
that where it goes back to you have to build an audience. You have to find a way to connect to
Yeah.
these people
Right,
before you even launch the project. Where, at Roland, I mean, sure, we all kind of come from a world where I print my book, I take it to the con, I put it on the table, somebody goes, that looks cool, and I sell it to them.
Right.
Now it's this whole thing where you have to, hey, everybody, come look at me dance on TikTok. Come look at my cool post I made on Instagram. It's as opposed to just going, this is my book, this is what it's about, let's back it.
And
Travis Gibbs says, I back all Silverline and Cosmic Times. These guys make great comics. Travis, you realize
Care what you say, he's so smart. That's the smartest guy in the room. There you
well,
go.
so also I'm gonna remind Travis that, hey, you put this on a public forum, Travis. I'm gonna quote you now.
Yep.
That's a pull quote on the back of your next book.
That's
right?
a pull quote. Yep.
That's right.
Silence. I feel like I interrupted somebody a while ago.
We're just talking crap. Whatever.
All right, next question.
Who's got a question?
Tom does.
Well, Mike hasn't asked one in a while, so it's
Yeah, Mike, what do you
I
got?
want to ask one. Let me ask one. I'm the content guy. Give me the elevator pitch for the good, the bad, and the prehistoric. I'd like to know about it.
Let's talk about it.
I'll tell you what exactly works at conventions. All I go is, and it works every time. It's dinosaurs, it's cowboys. Here you go, and they buy it. That's all I got to do. This book, it's a story of Joel. He's a young boy living in the Wild West that never was. With his mother, it's a world where dinosaurs never went extinct. So the beasts of burden in this world are all dinosaurs. Instead of horses, they ride dinosaurs. Instead of cows, they farm dinosaurs. And the Native Americans or Indians are now wise cavemen who live out in the caves in the distance.
I love this
and whatnot.
logo.
And our cool logo that was designed by Zach Bassett. That was one of the first things we did for the book.
Do you know how many times I had to see this, Martin, to realize that was a cowboy?
You had to flip your eyes and go, "Oh, I see."
I saw that so many times.
What didn't give it away?
It was a cool foil too. Look at that.
Yeah, it's got how many more cowboy things do you need there?
Yeah. But ultimately, I'll tell you what. One of the reasons I think it might not be doing well on Kickstarter is something I was warned about. It's an all ages book, in that it's not necessarily a kid's book, but it's a book that anybody can pick up. I try to write most of the comics I write for for Cosmic Times, to be PG, low level PG-13, because I want it to appeal to the most readers possible. I want and this book was done. Zach, who co-wrote it with me, my creative director and artist, we were pitching ideas. He said dinosaurs and cowboys. I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
But he has we have a love for 1970s Disney, because that's what we grew up with. The era before Eisner and after Walt had passed away, where we grew up. There's a lot of weird concepts, Condor Man, Tron, and all these crazy ideas they were coming up with. And so we kind of set it with that vibe. The art style is taking its cues from Don Bluth, who was working for Disney in the 70s. The story hodgepodges, pieces of Treasure Island or Treasure Planet was actually where we got our inspiration. Pete's Dragon, and believe it or not, that horrible Disney Lone Ranger movie also played a part in our coming up with an unreliable narrator. The book it's a father who's a paleontologist trying to make paleontology sound cool to his son. So he tells them the story of dinosaurs and cowboys. So is it real? Did it happen? I don't know. This is a father's story. His father telling his son a story. So that's kind of where we're at with the book. It's a fun book. It's everybody who's read it, except for my mom, had nothing but good things to say about it. My mom is the worst critic.
Never trust your old
So
family.
78-year-old women are not my target demographic for this one, unfortunately. Yeah.
How do they milk the dinosaurs?
Haha. Tom will appreciate this little joke, and I don't know if Travis meant this as an inside joke. He said, "I thought cowboys only fought aliens."
Well, they're not fighting the dinosaurs.
That's right. They're not fighting them.
So this is issue 2, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
you got issue 1 available when they go to the Kickstarter. They can get one.
Yep. Issue 1 and 2 are available. We have 4 covers for issue 1. I think that was overkill. So for issue 2, we just did 3 covers. Like I said, I was showing off this beautiful. We have this foil thing. We're going to do it for each issue. There's going to be an orange one for this one and a red one for the next one. And we have these cool collectors. I'm pitching now. These cool collectors boxes where you can put your whole set in here.
I've seen those. Those are cool.
Beautiful artwork on the inside. How do I hold this? There we go. Yeah. So
hold on, Martin. Hold on. Let's blow that up. Yeah, there we go.
That's Ryan Miller, who's an artist for IDW. Transformers did that for us.
Is that original art drawn on there, or is that printed on there?
No, that's printed on there. That's a watercolor painting that we sold with the last Kickstarter. So
okay. Yeah,
and you can get the cool box. You can put all the books in there. It's cool.
Hold that foil up there again.
You got a box. I'll hold everything up. It's Pitch City here. Yeah, and then the one for issue 2 is going to be orange, and it'll say 2 down here, and then 3 will be red, and it'll say 3 down there, and you have the whole set. So yeah,
nice.
So it's interesting that you think, or that you've been told that the all ages or the general audience thing is a negative, because I can see as the crowdfunding platforms go to the adult books in the front process, that can be perceived as a negative, but to the actual audience, like to the convention audience or a bookstore audience when they're collected, or the movie and TV producers who might want to acquire it, the all ages things is not a negative. That's actually a net positive. You just have to get there.
I hope so. I hope in the long run the book's going to have legs. I believe in the book. I'm very. I feel it's greater than the sum of its parts. Like all the people that worked on it, the book came out better than any of us expected it to be. So I'm not just toot my own horn. I actually believe that.
I do. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, please.
I do a lot of TV work, and I know that the image of the cowboy on the dinosaur, you make that into the tiny square on the Netflix menu. That's that's everything. You'll get people to click on that.
I'm clicking on it. I'm clicking to see what it is.
I think you're in the right space. I just think you have a difficulty reaching or maximizing the audience that is available on crowdfunding right now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. That's what I was talking about before earlier on Kickstarter. Like I said, this book does really well at conventions,
right?
But
I can see
I'm perplexed why I can't move the needle harder on Kickstarter.
Well, because I tend to think that kind of like what we mentioned a little bit earlier is that Kickstarter has their people, right? Mm-hmm. There's the Kickstarter crowd. Those are not necessarily the comic convention going crowds. One of the things that I noticed when I got back into conventions, not quite a decade ago, but from the time when I was at in the 90s at Malibu and all that kind of, when I started going to conventions again, during that time, I noticed that I was seeing a huge difference in the attendees. Right, the attendees were families. They were moms and dads with kids. Right now, it's still a lot of men were buying, but I was seeing that they were buying for not just for them, but for the family. So I'm looking for something I can read with little Johnny here, right? And that was not to say I didn't see that at San Diego Comic-Con in 1993.
Well, one of the things too that has changed with conventions and in a negative way, and I'm sure Thomas can attest to this from all of our years at MegaCon. When I did my first MegaCon in 2009, there was like some 1 or 2 people selling fan art prints, and we're like, they're going to get busted. They're going to get. Now, 15 years later, half the con is that. And some of it is
pirates, we like to call them.
Yeah, it's not even the artist. It's like I don't even know where they're getting the art from at this point. It's just people selling prints. Yeah. And it's maddening almost because they'll drop $20 on a print but won't spend $5 on a comic. Yeah. Every page is its own art. Yeah.
And I'm not talking bad about anybody, but buying a print from somebody that's never drawn Spider-Man or a Marvel book, and he's selling all these poorly drawn Spider-Man prints, and you're like, I've drawn Spider-Man. Buy my book. Here.
Right.
I realize I'm not a target audience for much of anything, but I go to cons for 2 reasons. In terms of commercial value, I like to go to buy a piece of original art from somebody, whether it is a printed thing or whether it is something that they actually drew on the paper.
Right.
And I also go to find new books.
Yeah.
And that's those are the things that I look for at conventions. And I don't have a collector mentality, so I really just want the thing that is interesting that I can that I can just grab right then.
I just go looking for Roland Mann comics. That's what I go.
Well, be sure you visit the dollar boxes then.
Yeah, go to, and visit rolandmann.com. And
That's right.
They're in the quarter bins now.
So Pops added, he goes, this is why we broadcast to many different destinations. The show is going to, like our show here, we're going to 9 different spots live at this moment. He also said, let's see, something up here. Hold on. Well, yeah, this is why we're building the network, to get people like you seen by people who might not normally seen you. And, I've tried to recruit you to the network. I said, I think that you would have a good.
That requires me to make constant content though.
It would. Yep. It would.
As you can see, my son and I haven't put out a new one in like 6 months. So but that
the last show you were on was our show the last time.
It might have been. No, I think I did one other, but yeah, it's and I think that's great. These again, that's where you find you have to build you have to build your own audience. Where I was talking to somebody about early on when I first started doing comics. There was a legitimate comics news apparatus at the time that's kind of gone away now.
Yes.
You go to these sites and it's just one PR release or clickbait article after another. There isn't this kind of critical look at comics anymore. Yeah. And I think that's where we've lost the ability to reach a wider audience. I remember my first MegaCon, I got interviewed by CBR. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. Then my second one, I was on the Comic Geek Speak podcast back when that, had weight to it. And now it's just you're struggling to find 10, 20, 30 people just that you've never met, that don't know you, that are outside of your circle, to bring them in now. It's so
that's
difficult.
what it's become. You have to build up your own network on your own with the devices that currently exist. Yeah. And you have to sort of constantly manage it like it's a club.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't let anybody. It's like you've trapped your audience in the theater, and you can't let anybody leave. It's like, hey, where are you going?
Right. Well, so Mike, I'm gonna put you on the spot for just a second, because one of the things that kind of what we're talking about is getting and maintaining an audience. Now, Mike, you do Man in the Mask, and you have Substack, right?
Yep.
So, are you seeing? Because you've done something almost daily here. Was it like?
It's not so much daily, but I try to keep content flowing, and because it's just you get people bored. People forget there's so much content out there. You have to keep up. You have to do something.
Are you seeing? So the look at this. John Martin, hey you crazy kids! What is up, John Martin? Good to hear your voice, sir.
Yes. Do you monetize? I'm sorry, Roland. Do you monetize your?
I haven't monetized it yet. Like I said, this was something that's it was like a 6 months plan. I was going to see what was going to go, with it. I'd seen some other guys do it, and I right now I was just trying to get content up. But I'm looking forward to monetize, because I'm with you. I think the subscription. I think that's where things are going. I think you get an audience, and you get people wanting to take your content. I think that's the way. I think that's where indie comics are going.
Yeah. So I'm not fishing for like details, Mike. But are you in your eyes, has it been kind of a success for you? Are you seeing engagement or growth with what you've done?
It's like everything. It's not so much engagement. People don't really engage like they should. But I am seeing growth. Growth.
That's good.
Every time I put something out, and it's not always people on my social media, because that's how it started. I hit social and hit, hey, I've got this, I've got that. But I'm actually starting to get people that actually just look for comics on Substack. And that's where the growth is kind of coming from. Just people, I guess, curious and noticing that I'm putting stuff up on so much of a regular basis.
See, I have a Substack, and my friend Kevin, he's always putting these posts that are like very personal. This is my opinion on stuff. I just don't think I'm that interesting that people want to hear.
See, that's me. I'm the same way. But what I do is I'm using it like I'm using my character's place of employment, which is a newspaper. I'm using it with the idea. I think
it's original. I think it's cool.
I'm using it as like the idea that this fictional thing is putting out content. Sometimes I do behind the scenes articles of a feature issue. Sometimes I just present the comics. You know, that's, you know, I'm trying to kind of do a hodgepodge of kind of making it kind of meta, kind of, you know, you go to the Military Gazette and it's a little tongue in cheek, but it's also, here's an article about the character. Here's an article about this. It's like somebody's writing it. And that was the approach that I wanted to do with it, because I wanted people to be immersed in it and not about me. Because I thought about doing that. I thought about, the trials and tribulations of trying to get readership, you know, and it just turns into whininess. And I don't want to do that. I want the illusion to be there. I want
I just followed you.
And that's what I'm trying to maintain.
Because what I like are the ones where artists or writers are talking about not so much their opinion about stuff, because I don't really care if you like the new Marvels movie or not.
Right.
Exactly.
It means nothing to me. And but I want to know, what I like is process. Like here's the stuff.
Yep.
The project that I'm doing with Roland next year, my idea for the Substack is, here's the script that I wrote. Here's how the artist changed it. Here's how we talked about it and made it better. Here's the improvements. And then here's how I rewrote it to accommodate what he did. So it becomes a process.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not trying to be devil's advocate, but I follow some guys on TikTok who do the same thing. They're very process oriented. And I've watched other videos, and then they kind of just start going through the exact same process again. Do you worry that once you put the whole process out there, you just end up repeating yourself every time you do a new project?
I think the process is different depending on the project and the creators that you're working with. And so I think because there's some people that I work with who would like a full script and want to know everything in advance, and there's some who would like to be like to play with it. So here's, you know, be looser in your description and let me do stuff. And so I think, you know, every book has a different process, and I don't think it may get tedious, but I think over time, as your audience grows and it reveals to you what they want and how you want to participate with your audience, then you can change and adapt. I don't think it has to be. It's not a binary choice of I have to do this or that. It's like I can also like, here's my idea. The audience responds accordingly, and then I adapt my idea as the audience moves forward. And so I think that's.
Now, do you worry that you're spoiling the surprise of the project by revealing too much? I mean, I don't know. For me, it's just a struggle of what I put out. You know,
I would last page.
I would self-edit so that I didn't give away stuff. I would talk more about the process as opposed to giving away the secret. So if it's a mystery comic, I wouldn't want to give away the mystery. If it's a secret identity reveal, I wouldn't want to do that. And so I would play with
selective of what you're showing. Yeah.
Yes, and I would always, my goal for every post would be that will the audience find it interesting, and does this move the needle to what I want? Do I think this does this grow my audience? Does it keep them interested in my books? Does it keep them interested in what I'm saying? Will they subscribe? Will they monetize? And so it's not so much, oh, here's my head, let me empty it out on the page. It's more like here's my goal. Everything I do is going to step me towards that goal.
So let me pose a question to you guys. This is for all of you. So and we'll set you up just a little bit. So back when we did newsstand books, right? The idea of newsstand books was you sent 100,000 of them out there, and you hoped you sold as many of those as possible, right? You knew that you were probably not going to sell half of those, but at 100,000, a print run of 100,000,
they were returnable.
They were returnable. If I remember correctly, and Tom probably remembers, Protectors, I think, on the newsstand was selling anywhere from like 19 to 25,000 copies on the newsstand, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so the way I kind of look at that is it was a numbers game, right? You had to put a whole bunch of them out there, and you hoped that there was enough of the folks who saw it. A lot of them didn't. Would you accept the argument that maybe social media, Substack subscriptions, email subscriptions, newsletter subscriptions are kind of the same concept? Is that what we're trying to do with this is just get as many of this out there as possible and hope that the percentage of those in each of them will back us?
Because the San Diego Comic-Con has what now, 140,000 people that show up, and you don't capture those. You don't capture 140,000 people. You might get if you have a booth and you have a mailing list, you might get 20 people, 30 people,
Right.
40 people
Maybe
to sign up, and you might
Well-
sell, a handful of books. But you're growing it. You're capturing it.
Right.
We found a number when we did New York Comic Con that seemed to work. We could talk to 10% of the people that came there, and if we could turn 10% of those people into sales, we were doing good. So your best at a con is 10% of 10%.
but
Unless it's a small con where you can talk to everybody.
what?
Right.
So hold on though. 10%. That's a big number.
That is a
I think
huge
for
number.
a big
I'd be
show
happy.
like, So I think for a big show like, because I don't know the numbers at New York, but like San Diego Comic Con, let's just, because I can't do math, let's just say 100,000, right? 10% of 100,000 is 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk to 10,000 people at San Diego Comic Con.
I guess.
No.
But when we just looked at the sales we did at New York Comic, we made a lot of money at New York Comic Con. The only problem was it never was enough to cover the cost.
Yeah.
To go.
Because New York is a huge. It's a huge
Yeah.
place to go to.
Yeah.
6 times I did the show, and I made thousands and thousands of dollars, and never once did I come out in the black.
Right.
Michael Williams adds,
But before you read Michael's thing, but did that produce those people? Did they come back to buy the next thing?
I think. Well, we were really the first year we did New York Comic Con was when Diamond accepted us because they saw me in person. He goes, "I know that book." I said, "Yeah, you guys rejected it." "Oh, well, give it to me. I'll get it in the catalog." So being in New York definitely opened doors for me. And I know our Diamond sales were always boosted from going to New York Comic Con and handing out an obscene amount of flyers. Plus, we sell the books, and the books would advertise the next book, and it was a whole, things were running a little smoother back then for us, anyways.
Yeah. Michael Williams says, Substack is the way I'm about to go. Just revived mine, scheduled to drop tomorrow. It'll offer reviews, interviews, techniques, lessons, project updates, and opinions on the medium, including the AI revolution, publishing norms, pitch process, etc. Thank you, Michael, for chiming in. I see a lot of people going to, we're still using MailChimp, and I've seen in some groups, some private Facebook groups, some folks are kind of complaining about MailChimp. I haven't seen any issues with MailChimp.
Have you got to the point where they start charging you? That's why I had to drop it.
And so maybe that's part of the problem is I haven't gotten to that threshold. I'm not seeing that they're trying to charge me money. So
they went from it was free for this number, then they dropped the threshold, and it was like if I wanted to keep using it, I had to start either dump a bunch of emails or start paying. So I just dumped my email list over to Substack. That's what I did.
Yeah. Did you find in doing so? Did you lose when you transferred them from MailChimp to Substack? Did you lose very many?
Not yet, really. No.
Okay.
But
sometimes a
my
move
open rate is higher, but I don't know how they base what your open rate is. Did they click on it? Did they read it? How long was it open? So it's the data is not as clean as it was on MailChimp.
Yeah, I like what the information that MailChimp gives you.
Yeah.
So I have a question before we leave, though.
Yes, go ahead.
Leaving? It's already over?
Well, usually we sign off after after an hour or 7. Okay. So, but my question is for Martin, which is, so given all these challenges, how can people help you? What would you like the audience to do?
That's a very good question. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I'm not sure where I'm going in 2024. Like I said, 2024 is my 15th year doing this. I'm not sure if I'm going to. I have a Patreon, but it's failing miserably. It doesn't earn enough to justify keeping it going. So I might kill that and try the Substack monetizing. I honestly don't know what's next. I thought this Kickstarter was going to be gangbusters, and then I was going to feel good going into the next year. And I'm like, oh no, this is a struggle. This is not what I thought I was getting into. So as far as my plans for next year, I'm not even 100% sure if I'm going to stick to what I had planned. I had this big anniversary thing where I was going to do several Kickstarters, bringing back some old books that I haven't published in a while with this 15th anniversary logo and stuff. And I'm not sure there's an audience for it anymore. I'm really at a reevaluation stage right now. Get some more heroin. Let's do it. Let's do it together.
You're buming me out, man.
But you know what? Here's the thing, though. I think this is the beauty of being the small guy, right? You can do it. You can shift on a dime. You can make the decision right now. I'm not going to do this, or I am going to do this. Where, you know, if this were not Malibu so much, but if this were Marvel, your plans are cemented for 24, right? You already know what you're doing 6 months from now, and you can't change those.
That's right. You're bringing back Metamorpho come hell or high water.
I didn't even get a chance to get around to asking Tom about retailing at the conventions, which I was going to do. Well, you know what? It's 9:10. Everybody got a few more minutes?
Sure.
Okay. So one of the questions that I wanted to, and Martin, I kind of wanted to ask this because I think that you might be interested in it. Yeah, Hyper, love you, Hyper. Hyper says, like and subscribe, kids. So one of the things that I noticed, and I can't remember if it was the first time I went out to San Diego and met you guys or later, but one of the things that I noticed is that Malibu had they had an island, you know, a square, and it was split exactly in half. One half was a retail section, and the other half was the publishing section. And I learned later, I think even asking Tom, I said, well, you know, why was that? And part of the idea was that you didn't want to confuse the publishing from the retail version. So as the publisher, you could be up there, promote. Oh, you don't have that book? Well, you can go right over here and buy it, right? And so I think one of my questions was, what kind of stock did you normally take to a show, and what were what kinds of sales did Malibu get?
Okay,
you're way past the NDAs at this point.
Yeah, no, I don't care. So the thing is that, you know, it's a different era. So it is. It's the 90s, and so what we discovered is that, you know, for a while in the early days when we started doing that, we were under the impression that, well, we don't want to compete with the retailers because the retailers are going to get mad because we're selling our books at the show. And then you discover that the retailers that go to shows are not necessarily the retailers that are carrying your books anywhere.
They're not bringing your book to the show.
They're selling Avengers #1, Amazing Fantasy 15, Spawn 1.
So anybody who comes over and bitches at you for, you know, competing, you can just say, you're not selling my book, so how do I compete? And so and we did that because that offset the cost. So we made, again, it's the 90s, so costs were different, but we made enough selling the comics at the show to cover all of the expenses for the show, including the booth, including the hotels, including bringing all the staff down. That paid for everything. And so, and what determined what we brought was, if we had graphic novels, we brought all of those. If we had individual issues that were the name brand stuff, so if it was Robotech, or if it was Sherlock Holmes, or if it was something that had civilian value as opposed to just comic book value, and we would bag and board stuff, and we would sell everything at a flat rate. So every, you know, the comics, the individual issues that were bagged and board were like $3 each or whatever. And the graphic novels were $10 each or whatever. And so that way you don't have to, you're not worrying about change. You're not doing addition. You're not doing any sort of weird stuff. It's just, you know, simple multiplication. And so that, and we would sell out of stuff we'd bring it down Wednesday. We would sell it out. We'd sell stuff by Friday. And then we would call up the office and find out if anybody from the staff was coming down for the weekend, could they go by and get another couple of boxes
and stuff
and bring it down?
Lord, I want to go back in time, man.
Right. And so we eventually stopped that when the Ultraverse came out, because we thought, well, surely now the retailers will carry our books. And it's like, nah, you know, yeah. And that didn't work either. And so we should have kept doing it, because now everybody does it, and it's an accepted part of the business. And but we made it was, and what we also found out is, in addition to people who were missing an issue and found it there, we would make new friends. And so new people would come in and they go, oh, I didn't know you were doing this. And then, you know, but it was also, in many cases, it was two different types of people. They're the people who are interested in the new stuff in the front of the booth, and then there were the people who were interested in filling in the back issues from the back part of the booth. And so, and those
Southern Squadron number 2.
right. And I'm not interested in they're the one issue voter, basically. They are only interested in their one thing, and they'll look at the new stuff and go, yeah, and then
right.
I really just want Southern Squadron number 2.
Now,
yeah.
Image at New York. I can't speak to San Diego. I can only speak to New York Comic Con. The last couple of times I was there, they had a similar thing. They have a big booth with this gigantic wall promoting all their new titles. And they have one section where it's just all their creators signing.
Right.
And then, but if you go behind the booth, that's where they have all the trades you can buy and stuff. So Image is still doing a similar business model, mostly with trades though, not with single issues.
And a booth like IDW. Booths like IDW and Boom, what they used to sell their graphic novels and their individual issues at San Diego, but now since San Diego's raised their prices and everything is way more expensive, they only sell their exclusive high-end stuff. So if you want the $100 statue, or if you want the big slick hardcover thing, that's what they sell at the show now. Which is, for better or worse, that's where the money is. And so
Hyper says Mike seems to have the right idea to stream from the couch. Brilliant. And then Martin, you'll like this one. He says, Martin, like Roland, delivers on every Kickstarter. Back with confidence. All right, all of you guys who are out there listening and debating, well, should I back this dinosaur thing? Should I back this thing? Hyper has spoken, and Martin delivers on all of his Kickstarters. I think I've backed every Kickstarter.
I have cat and mouse sitting right there waiting issue 4, waiting for me to read it.
All right.
It's on my couch. So
Hyper says I ordered from Malibu. One of the things I remember from the Malibu comics was that double page spread of all the back issues.
Yeah, so that was the thing too, because we published enough. We published 30 titles a month, which is insane anyway.
It is insane.
It was pretty nuts.
But the back issue page drove a lot of business our way. We could easily make $2,000, $3,000 a month just in back issue sales coming through the door.
So did you have a staff member dedicated
to $3 comics too? Keep that in mind. These were $3 comics, not $5 comics.
Right.
So I'm saying you had to have somebody just dedicated to handling that. Then I would.
So here's what we had, and it works out pretty well. I mean, again, times are different, but we had a shipping clerk, and the shipping clerk would handle books that would come in from the publisher and stuff like that, and they would also handle the shipping in and the shipping out of original art, because everything was physical in those days. And so in between FedEx, so FedEx would drop off at 10 o'clock and FedEx would pick up at 4 o'clock, he would fill the back issues. And so that was his job. He'd log in the stuff in the morning, fill back issues through till the afternoon, and then log out the stuff at the end of the day. And so
the time frame would have been mail order at the time. Like they would send you a check, or was it online yet, or no?
It wasn't online yet, so it's totally mail order. They would send, sometimes they would just send a bunch of
internet. There was no internet.
Yeah,
a bunch of what?
Well, 90. What is this?
Tom, did you say quarters?
It said a bunch of quarters all taped to a letter, and so they would, whatever they had, they just wanted their one comic, and so
So this wasn't your ad though. This isn't your ad, no.
What is that? I can't even see that.
Hold on. Let me.
That's not you. 20 feet.
No, that's
Okay.
No, that looks like Steve Milo. Is that American Entertainment?
American Entertainment. Yep, there it is in the
Milo.
corner.
He sells timeshares down in Florida now.
Oh.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That's another business, especially here. Oh my God, is that my total now?
Yep.
Am I gonna make this? Is this actually gonna happen?
It's gonna happen, Martin.
How much time is left?
What we
101 minutes.
100 minutes.
All right.
If it doesn't happen, I mean, there's always I can pay for this.
When I leave here, I'm gonna go sign up. So.
Oh, thank you. Let's get this thing done, Roland. I'm losing business.
And we're done.
I've got Abraham Stone.
Let's make it Martin's Christmas.
Well, there you go.
That's right. Hyper got Abraham Stone by Joe Kubert, book from Malibu Direct. So
yeah, so that was published. That's a deal that was published overseas, and we just republished it in English.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you think there's any value to, say, putting an ad in Silverline Comics, scan this QR code to buy our books now? To buy, because your back issues are all through Tommy or Kablam. So,
that may change as we enter 20. No. That's not in a good way.
I know.
Yeah,
I know what's going on. I know.
Yeah,
Things are in the works.
2024 is going to be a different year for us. So hopefully, good things happening.
I'm pulling for you, Roland. Right?
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind you on this, man. You know that, right?
Yes, I do, and I appreciate it.
Don't screw up my book.
Yeah, I'm ready to get some work for some good finish stuff from Henry, so we can start putting that up. I also got to get your picture so we can put it on. I can add you to the starting screen.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Does he get a trading card or something too, or your program with all the faces?
Well, you know what? I don't know if Tom ever saw.
The signature book.
Yeah, the signature book. Oh, listen, Tom, I
stole that idea.
Oh, listen, I am not ashamed to say, and I tell people I steal so many things, so many ideas from the Malibu days. I'm gonna stop my camera just a minute and go walk over there. I'm gonna show you.
Not only did he steal a bunch of ideas, he stole like pencils and markers.
Yeah.
I did not do that.
Oh, okay.
Well, the statute of limitations is long expired.
Oh yeah.
Roland?
He's gone.
He's gone.
Okay.
All right, now we can really talk about what we want to talk about.
He doesn't want us to see how the magic happens, so he is. He's left.
What's the chances of him coming back? What do y'all think?
And we're still alive. So this is where in an Agatha Christie movie, this is where Roland gets murdered.
Who's back? Wait a minute.
Solve it using TikTok or something.
Check this out, Tom.
There it is. Look at that.
And this was a Malibu idea you stole, Roland? I thought this was all original and a great idea you came up with. That's why I didn't steal it from you.
Yeah,
there they are.
And of course, we don't have near as many folks in here, but part of the reason that I ended up doing this, Tom, is because I kid you not, when I kind of first got back into the con scene, I signed so many of those deadgum things. People bring them up, and I'm like, what is this, 1990? But they were bringing up signature books for me to sign, and I'm like, that's a kind of a cool idea.
Again, different time, but that was a thing that we came up with, and I'm pretty sure it was a Chris Ulm idea, because I thought it was a Ross Ritchie idea, but he said no. But the thing is that it drove people to the booth because there's goofy excitement about getting people to sign a book where everybody is signing the same book, and we would give a prize to people if they could fill out their whole signature book and mail it back to us. Which
never happened.
It happened, but did
it really?
Yeah, we would send people stuff, and so
they get rid of they lose their book that they work so hard.
Somebody got the entire thing.
We would send the book back because it would be weird to take that. It would be weird to take that book away from them, and so
I'm surprised that there's anybody who got the entire thing signed.
Tom kept a few of them.
You had to work at it because they're people. Because we would see people, so we released those in '93, and people would go around in '93 and do it, and people would come back in '94 and '95, and
they were trying to get their stuff.
Yeah, is this person here? Is this person here? Is this person coming here? And so,
they were still doing it in 2016 and 17 because I signed copies.
It created engagement at the booth, so people came by the booth to get the signature.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I really like it.
And that's why I collect Roland Mann comics and have him sign them all. I have his whole short box. I really do.
Michael Williams says, good to see you guys. Always a pleasure, Master Man. Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate you swinging by. Good luck, Martin Pierro. Love the Dino Cowboys.
Thank you very much.
I still and listen, I even the cover even looks kind of like the Malibu.
Well, when Roland Mann steals an idea, he goes all
in.
Wait, don't make me break out some dinosaurs for hire covers.
Hey, listen, I'm just as bad as the Kickstarter people you're complaining about. So.
Okay. Well,
I found one online, a signature series, $2.
There you go.
Very good quality. It's not signed now, so.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 of them actually. Malibu did 2 of them.
This is a black one, just has the M logo on it.
Yeah, there's a second one that looks just like it, but it's different.
This one's black. I don't know.
Yeah, David. Dave says I have the Malibu one, not the Silverline one. Plus, I am not in it.
Plus, Dave, I think Dave Rios came too late to the party.
Yeah.
We have them available at Indie Planet, don't we?
Yep, they are available.
Go to
there.
Indie Planet, buy you one.
You're in this one, Dave.
Look at that.
So
he's in one of 3.
Yeah. So any other questions, Mike, Mr. Question Man? Any other questions?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I feel like I've learned way too much now. I have to go and order a comic book.
Oh, please.
It's not pre-order. Willie Peppers says, "I want to be in one when I grow up." Willie, Willie, we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna do another one.
Volume 2 coming up.
We didn't date this one, but there's been several changes since then, so we're gonna do another one. And Willie, we're gonna make sure to get your project going so that you're gonna be in the next one.
Mine too. Don't
That's
forget.
right. Yours too.
Don't make me complain about you.
All right, Martin. Any you're really close.
I know.
I hope we helped push you there some.
I'm sure you did. Thank you.
And so look at you put the link to it.
I found it on Amazon for $49. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, signature series, comic illustrated autographed book.
There you go.
Yeah. New Christie Malibu signature series #1, 1993 Malibu comics.
It's got a number of professionals in there, so it's
yes.
I don't think this one's signed.
The thing about it is, and I'm not. This is no effort to be a downer at all, but there are some. If you've got signatures in that book, that you're the only one that's going to get them because there are people like Norm Brayfogle,
Right.
James Hudnall, they passed away.
Yep.
And so you can get that book, but if you don't have that signature, you're not going to get it.
That's right. So it's worth $49.95.
It is worth it, yeah, especially if one of them have signed it.
And if you send it to Tom when it's done, he'll send you something.
That's right.
He's gonna keep.
Yeah.
I got some old Malibu poison A pins.
That's right. Tom Mason, BR 549.
That's the number to call. The phone lines are open.
Martin.
Yes, sir.
Any last minute pitches here as we let you go to spend the last hour and a half social media and up
chewing my fingernails.
Campaign. Yeah, chewing your fingernails.
Please back the book. If you're watching this and you haven't backed it, just check it out. It's fun. It's fun comics. It's nothing.
Yeah.
We approach this like a Pixar film. We want it to appeal to everybody. I want your grandfather to read it, I want your son to read it or daughter, and I want you to read it. So that's the goal of the book. Everybody should be able to read this comic and get something out of it and enjoy it. That's how I make comics. And thank you for having me on, Roland. I just love talking comics with people, man. I sit here by myself all day talking to my dogs, and they don't know much about comics. They're learning, but they don't know much. So,
what social media platform do they use?
Right. They use Woofer.
That's right.
Yeah, Woofer, yeah. Trying to come up with something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am a backer of this campaign.
Thank you.
I am a backer. I have backed, to my knowledge, I don't know that I've backed all of Martin's, but I've certainly backed all of them since I met him, which has been.
Well, there was one Chase of Platoon you didn't want anything to do with. That's another story altogether.
Okay, yeah, all right. I do think I remember something.
Yeah.
Here we go. Martin's campaign has art and comics available. Oh,
yes, the cover is still available in the campaign.
Oh my gosh, you art collectors, get out there! Is it the art for this cover right here?
Yeah, the cover, the one there, Zach, scroll up, the one above that cover there. Yes, that cover is available. Plus, all but one of the pages are available. Somebody's already bought one page in the add-ons. all 23 pages were available. Now there's
Oh
22
my
left.
gosh. This is so if you're an original art fan, this is an opportunity to get you a page of original art as well as support Martin's
And I
campaign.
took the idea from you, Roland. That was you taught me to do that.
Listen, we've had great success. We've had great success for the most part with our original art. We've got, a dozen who we've got a dozen who like original art, including this guy. So yeah, whenever we can get something up there that the original art owners like, then we have success with it. So
how much would it cost to be eaten by a shark?
You want to be drawn in the cover? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I want to be drawn in the cover eaten by a shark.
I talked to Zach about that. I'm sure he'd do it. Trust me.
All right, so Martin, what's aside from this campaign, what's next for you? You going to be at any shows upcoming?
Well, I was in that bad car accident, so we're down to one car right now, and I really don't feel my best. But I'm hoping to be at Scott's show, the Lake County Comic.
Oh, on the
Festival.
19th.
Are you going to be there?
Week. Yeah, I'll be there.
Then I gotta come. I just gotta come.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah. Well, I was actually even going to make that. We've already made the announcement. I'll be there on the 19th, which is a week from today. So
assuming I'm up to driving and we have an extra car, I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't touch on that, but I hope you're feeling okay. Your car looked like crap.
It was a bad one, and I'll say I put this hat here was sticking out of the windshield.
I saw that picture.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
it's all chewed up on the side. And it's now my lucky hat. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Hyper says I love art rewards, and he says I want a Tom Mason Wildman sketch. Okay, who is Wildman? Is this one of the losers?
He's in Sergeant Rock's Easy Company.
Sergeant Rock. Okay, there you go.
He's got. I believe he has red hair, and he's got a wild beard and a mustache combo going.
Hyper, I have seen Tom's art. You would love it. Oh, you know what, Tom? We got it. Okay, that's for off when we go off the air. All right.
We got it.
No. I don't know what's coming up this Tuesday. There's nothing on my calendar. We will have a show. Cassisi, if you're still around, maybe you can post. We will have a show on Tuesday, but I don't know what these guys are talking about. On Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to talk about, they're going to show and tell, Silverline show and tell, what do we make? And I think they're just going to go through a sampling of some of our comics and show and tell. Next week, going to be one of Mr. Mason's favorite. We're going to be joined by ex-Malibu senior editor, Mr. Dan Danko, is going to join us. We're going to find out.
Gotta see if that name's any of these comics I have here.
He should be in a whole bunch of them, yes. Mr. Danko was, I guess, the first editor outside of Chris and Tom that was hired at. I'm guessing. I'm thinking that's the case, wasn't he?
He was employee number 5, I think, at the time.
Whoa. Okay, so if it was Scott, Dave, Chris, and Tom, that make him the.
So yeah, it was either him or Mickey Villa, and they both sort of came in around the same time. And
okay.
So
well, now was Mickey an editor? I don't remember her being an editor. I remember her.
She was a graphic designer.
Okay, yeah.
And art director.
I mean, I remember it, Mickey. But I was thinking that Dan was the first editor outside of you guys hired by Malibu.
Yeah, he was.
So,
and I'm still working. We have a book due at Simon and Schuster next Friday, so we're still hanging out.
All right, so hopefully we'll get those stories next Sunday. So you guys join us next Sunday for Dan Danko. Bring all of your questions for him, and maybe he can give us some fun Malibu backstories. And I'm talking slow so I can reach my my buttons here.
He's fluent in Japanese, so bring your Japanese questions.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's pretty. Now, so did he marry a Japanese girl?
No, he went to Japanese school.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's something I did not know. All right, so you guys remember what to do here. Hold on. Here we go. Is Martin going to stream anywhere else to close out the campaign? Martin, are you streaming anywhere else? Are you going anywhere else to close your campaign?
No, I'm going to crawl on my desk and cry. That's all I'm going to do.
Dude, you're almost there. You
I know.
There.
It's so stressful. I keep hitting refresh, hoping that's it.
So, all right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. And until then, remember to make mine Silverline. Good night, everybody.
So long, everyone.
My name is Ross Ritchie from Boom Studios, and make mine Silverline.